This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening, I'm Carolyn Stokes, and here's what's making news tonight.
Today I'm going to show you what it's like to drink and drive. That's coming up on Here and Now.
Doctors told us that, give them the best summer that you can and just hope for the best.
Best summer ever.
A 9-year-old with terminal brain cancer is having his wish come true right here in Newfoundland. Just ahead, we'll take you to a puppy party in Bowring Park for Leland Hill and tell you why he chose to come here for his Make-A-Wish. Well, it's a story that's all too familiar to many people in this province. A carefree day in the wilderness turns terrifying after an ATV crash. Already this year, there have been dozens of incidents in this province involving all-terrain vehicles and snowmobiles. And since 2012, at least 67 people have been killed. At least 3 people have already died this year. Even more people have been seriously injured. Police say too often these incidents involve alcohol or drugs. And today the RCMP is trying a new tactic to let people know it's not okay to drive an ATV while impaired. Here Now's Meg Roberts has the story.
Words I never thought I would say. Today I'm going to drive drunk, but I'm not going to slug back a bottle of alcohol. I'm going to be wearing these drunk driving goggles, and there's no way I'm getting in a real vehicle. I'm going to be driving this today.
The RCMP partnered with Avalon Trailways to educate people about the dangers of driving impaired. Today, reporters fashioned goggles that simulate the effects of alcohol, opioids, ecstasy, and even a bad hangover. The results weren't pretty.
Oh no. Oh. See, you won't be here on the road.
No. Other than with the red and blues going.
Yeah.
You don't have to be falling down drunk to be impaired. Or if anything, this is just going to throw you off just a little bit. Keep in mind, you're running over a pylon here. That could be a child, a dog, going off an embankment. So, you will see the difference in the impairment for sure.
It's not just automobiles you should stay away from when intoxicated. This time of year, lots of people are spending time in the woods and on the water, and recreational vehicles can be just as dangerous.
We've been finding over the years that there's sometimes a misconception that it's all right to drive your ATV or your snowmobile or your boat while impaired, and that's certainly not the case. And even so, people continue to do it, and we're trying to get the message out that if anything, this is very dangerous.
Oh. I feel dizzy and a little bit sick from those goggles in general.
So although I can take my goggles off at any time, that's not how it works in real life. Meg Roberts, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, he could have wished to go to Disneyland or Hawaii. He could have wished for brand new toys or video games. Instead, a 9-year-old with terminal brain cancer made a wish to travel from his home in Nova Scotia to St. John's so that he could throw a party for someone else. Here Now's Katie Breen reports.
9-year-old Leland Hill loves dogs, but he didn't come all the way from Nova Scotia just for puppies. 2 years ago, he missed his great-grandmother's 90th birthday party, and he hasn't let his parents forget it. When he found out his cancer was back and he could make a wish, he wished to come to Newfoundland to throw another party for his great-nanny Thorn.
When he said that, our hearts kind of sank. We couldn't believe it because it wasn't about him, it was about somebody else, and this is supposed to be about him, right?
The party was Saturday, and it was the first time the two ever met.
When he went and gave her that hug, everybody just teared up. It was just joy.
The hug of a lifetime. She's seen many pictures of him on Facebook, but never ever got a chance to actually put her arms around and give him a big hug and and all that. So the party was great.
She was fun to me because, well, she was old. So my best time to meet her was now.
Today's puppy party is an added bonus. People here heard about Leland's trip and wanted to watch him meet his great-grandma. Mom and Dad wanted to keep it a family event, so Make-A-Wish threw this party so everyone and their dogs could come say hi to Leland. It's a happy day for a boy facing a difficult disease.
He does have his moments, so we'll be laying down at night sometimes, and he'll say to us, why do I have to get cancer again? Why me? I don't want to die. I want you guys to get me a cure. I want to beat this, and to hear that, and to try to speak to him about that is so tough.
Doctors say there's little they can do about Leland's cancer. Surgeries are too dangerous. Treatments wouldn't give him a good quality of life. So they told his parents to give him the best summer they could. And this trip is just the start.
Yep, best summer ever.
Katie Breen, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, some developing news now. Police say they're investigating what they call suspicious property at Cape Spear. Just take a look at this. RNC officers apparently hauling guns out of the water. It's not clear if these are real weapons or replicas. Police on the scene wouldn't comment. Officers have been on the scene since about 3 p.m. They have an area of land closed off, and police were also seen in a small inflatable boat. They were trying to haul a small black box out of the water, but rough waves made that difficult. CBC has asked for more information from police. And police are investigating an early morning fire in Paradise. A neighbor spotted black smoke billowing from a house on Howard Avenue. The neighbor told CBC News he saw a window smashed out of the garage and a gas can sitting in the grass in the backyard. Firefighters arrived on the scene at 6 a.m. but say the fire had likely already been burning for about an hour. The flames were extinguished within 30 minutes, but firefighters say there was extensive damage to the basement of the home and the garage. And the RNC is still investigating after a piece of heavy equipment was used to damage a bank in Mount Pearl this weekend. This exterior brick wall and part of the roof of the credit union on Commonwealth Avenue took the brunt of the damage. It happened early Sunday morning, sometime between 4 and 6 a.m. Police did not confirm if anything was actually stolen from the bank. It has become common, though, for culprits to use heavy machinery to rip out ATMs.
Temperatures today not too bad out there across the province. We're seeing temperatures in the sorry about that. We're seeing temperatures in the 20s through parts of the island. 22 in Deer Lake. 16 was the afternoon high in St. John's. We've got a big area of low pressure spinning right now, so we're seeing plenty of cloud cover, lots of rain as well. We're seeing an area of thunderstorms, not showing up right now, but lightning just south of Corner Brook, and that's going to continue to move a little bit further north as we head through the night tonight. You're looking at that risk of thunderstorms over the next few hours, but I'll have all the details coming up.
All right, let's check in to see where Jeremy Eaton is tonight. Jeremy?
Yeah, so you may be wondering why we're hanging out at the Rec Room here at the Avalon Mall and what video gaming has to do with St. John's Pride. Well, a lot more than you think. Coming on later on the show, I'll explain the connection between the two.
Well, empty storefronts at the Corner Brook Plaza have gotten a colorful makeover for the city's Come Home year. Local artist Jackie Alcock has spent more than 100 hours working here at Corner Brook's biggest mall. She's been creating a series of paintings to mark Corner Brook's first Come Home year. Alcock put the finishing touches on her work this morning, just before the citywide celebrations start on Friday. Her paintings cover up about 200 feet of space where the mall's target location used to be. They include portraits of Newfoundland flora and fauna, as well as city scenes and interactive artworks. Alcock has also included a Come Home Year guest book that people can sign for posterity.
A lot of people have stopped and talked to me. The kids love it, and even one of the workers said to me that it was really nice to see something on the wall because it really brightened her day rather than seeing the plain wall every morning. So that was nice.
Well, Billy Joel sang about seeing the lights go out on Broadway. So what happened when the lights really did go out last week? Well, the cast from Come From Away decided the show must go on.
Welcome to the rock, an islander, I am an islander, I'm an islander, I am an islander, I'm an islander.
Performer Chad Kimball tweeted this video of the cast serenading fans outside the theater during a power outage in Manhattan. Some 30 city blocks lost power, and about 45,000 people who'd bought tickets to Come From Away and other sold-out shows spilled out onto the streets. The show, which is about Gander's response to the 9/11 attacks, was canceled that night. Actor Patrina Bromley said she still got to meet up with some people from Newfoundland who were in New York for the performance. The aging runways at 5 Wing Goose Bay are getting some long-needed upgrades. The landing strips are in such bad shape they had to be shut down to large aircraft earlier this summer. Well, today the federal government pledged $30 million for repairs. Here Now's Jacob Barker was at today's announcement.
The foundation for these runways were laid down in the 1950s, and though there have been upgrades done since, the need for the work to be done has been known about for quite some time.
I think the sounding signal was made some 15 years ago. You know, where that got lost to in the transition of government, I have no idea.
Goose Bay is a common stop for jumbo jets on their way across the Atlantic, but the runways are in rough shape.
We have everything from some stripping of the asphalt to some of the underlying layers, which caused debris on the airfield, some potholes at some times.
That's why the Department of National Defense imposed restrictions on larger planes earlier this year. Those transatlantic flights have had to gas up at other airports.
We've noticed a significant drop-off in our gas and go traffic associated with this, and it's more about the lack of clarity. This is going to inject the clarity back into our airport.
Repairing the runway is important for the wing, the airport, and the business that supports those operations. $2.3 million is going towards getting things up and running again in the short term.
That is the temporary solution. Today, I am also announcing that we are investing over $30 million in several major infrastructure projects for the long-term security of the wing.
Both of the runways will be fully repaved beginning next summer. That work will continue until 2022.
In addition, there will be upgrading and installation of lighting on runway 1634 to allow civilian aircraft to operate in low visibility conditions.
This proves that the longevity of the airport is still intact and that they're going to do what they've got to do to have that happen.
Work will begin on those temporary fixes to the runway at the beginning of August, and officials say that the schedule has been organized so that there will be no disruptions to service at any point. Jacob Barker, CBC News at the Goose Bay Airport.
Well, here's how it looks at the Rec Room tonight at the Avalon Mall. Why are we there? Well, St. John's Pride is hosting a virtual reality tournament. We'll check back in with Jeremy after Ashley's weather. Welcome back to Here and Now. Well, last week, you'll probably remember we saw some stunning footage of whales near the shore in St. Vincent's on the southern Avalon.
Yeah, and this weekend, the Capeland rolled.
There they are.
There they are. So that's how it looked on Saturday as the Capeland came ashore. How cool is that?
You had not seen this yet, have you?
I haven't, no, and someone sent me a picture on Facebook too that they had rolled in Middle Cove, so I just missed it.
Oh, yes, and I also saw a tweet that they rolled on Topsail Beach. I don't know if they're rolling anywhere right now besides, well, St. Vincent's. This was Saturday at St. Vincent's.
Right, yeah.
So.
Sounds like it mostly happened on Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty
You'll
cool.
see it, I'm
yeah.
sure.
I'm here for the rest of my life, guys.
She's not going anywhere.
No, not going anywhere.
Well, happy St. Swithin's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I've only heard about this for the first time. Larry Dowie at the Rooms sent out an email about this. He's the archivist at the Rooms.
Yeah.
And today, July 15th, is St. Swithin's Day. And what it means is that if it's raining today, it means it'll rain for 40 days. And if it's sunny today, then it'll be sunny for 40 days. Interesting.
Yeah.
So whatever the weather is today is how it's going to stay, apparently, according to the folklore.
Yeah, so hopefully like rain, because it was rain today.
Yeah, but it was nice earlier.
It was a beautiful afternoon for the most part, very little wind, lovely afternoon. Those temperatures reached their peak this morning, so we'll take a look at what we saw as our daytime highs today. 16 degrees here in St. John's. That temperature dropped as the rain moved in, and 20 degrees along the west coast for the most part. And then up through Labrador, 22 degrees for both Lab City and Happy Valley Goose Bay. So we, right now those temperatures, like I said, dropped a little bit, still up quite nice up through Labrador though, in the 20-degree range. Otherwise, we're looking at temperatures in the teens. Corner Brook right now sitting at 21 degrees. But anticipating that once the thunderstorms roll through, we will likely see a drop in temperature. So here's a look at the satellite right now. You can see a big area of low pressure spinning. We're seeing some lightning up through Labrador as well. These clouds with some showers, and that risk will continue as we head through the overnight tonight. There's that lightning that's finally starting to show up now just outside of Corner Brook, and we're going to see that risk, like I mentioned, of some thunderstorms as we head through the overnight tonight as this system continues to roll through. So we're looking at that risk. Eventually, once we lose that sun though, the risk will end, and we'll just see that potential for some showers and drizzle overnight tonight with some lightning, or rather some showers moving through up through Labrador as well. Now, towards the early morning hours, that will likely be drizzle. So here's your overnight temperatures, still quite mild, anywhere from 11 to 13, 14 degrees overnight tonight, again with that risk of showers. Winds generally light across the board, and we're looking at St. Anthony sitting around 9 degrees tonight. Up through Labrador, 12 for Lab City. Again, still have that risk of some thunderstorms in the forecast for you. West, southwesterlies 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, and then as we move towards the coast, Nain sitting at 7 degrees overnight tonight. So tomorrow, that low pressure system still in play a little bit, so we are going to see that potential for some isolated showers through the day, and then eventually we should see the sun peak out, likely along the northeast coast though, and then for the Avalon, likely going to stay more than likely cloudy tomorrow. And then we're looking at that risk of thunderstorms up through Labrador again through the afternoon. So I drew a little bit of a map for you just to show we might see a few afternoon pop-up lightning strikes, or thunderstorms rather, and that up through Labrador as well. Mainly for Lab West, but we could see some heading towards the coast into the afternoon. And then your temperature is sitting between 17 and 21 degrees for the most part. Light winds, Clarenville 20 degrees. Again, do have that risk of thunderstorms in there for you. And then the sun should peak out. Gander 22 degrees, 21 for Grand Falls, Windsor. And then as we head towards the west coast, looking between 18 and 19 degrees, a little warmer for the interior, and Burgeo sitting at 18 degrees tomorrow rather. Up through Labrador looks quite nice with peaks of sun. Again, afternoon pop-up showers possible, very isolated in nature, but take a look at these temperatures. 27 degrees in Happy Valley Goose Bay, Churchill Falls 23, and then Lab City sitting at a similar temperature. So that's a look at your forecast for tomorrow. As we look ahead, it does look a little bit unsettled, but warm. I'll have all the details coming up.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, it's Pride Week in St. John's, and there is a lot going on. Multiple events are planned all over the city, including an interesting virtual reality contest happening at the Rec Room at the Avalon Mall right now. That's where Jeremy is, you can see. So, Jeremy, what is this contest about?
So basically it's called the Straightest Shooter of 2019, and a bunch of people just behind us are getting suited up to go get ready to play the virtual reality game. So basically we're here at the Rec Room, and this is part of the 2019 St. John's Pride list of events. I think we would say a week, but it's actually 10 days. Now, joining me to talk a little bit about this is Lauren Flynn. Lauren Flynn is St. John's Pride City Liaison. Lauren, thank you for taking the time to speak to us here on the Here and Now.
Thank you for having me.
So, for the viewers at home, could you explain why virtual reality? What's going to happen here behind us?
Sure. So we wanted to make sure we had as many inclusive events as possible. We didn't just want the events that we had to be 19 plus, so the Rec Room stepped up and offered their virtual reality experience for a Pride event, which we're very excited about. It's very fun, engaging. I played already. I did not win, but it was very fun, and that's why we're doing it.
So there's how many people are registered for the event, and the Straightest Shooter, what does that person get if they win?
Yeah, sure. So I think we had about 30 people registered. So it's a tournament. So the top 3 people will win a prize. The Rec Room's graciously offered some gift cards. I believe it's 50 for the winner, 30 for second place, 20 for the runner-up, and they'll also get a Pride, some shocking Proud t-shirt.
Now, speaking of Pride, one of the biggest events to happen during your Pride 10 days, your Pride week and a half, was the parade that happened in downtown St. John's. How, from your perspective as a member of the board of St. John's Pride, how was the parade yesterday?
The parade was awesome. We had over 5,000 people in attendance, which was amazing. We had around over 100 community organizations join, which was so fantastic. Nonprofits, charities, businesses, so it was great to have that sort of level of support. It was a bit cold and drizzly yesterday, but we still had lots of people show up, have a great time. They all walked up to Duckworth Street and ended in Bannerman Park. It was so much fun. There was lots of cheering, music, dancing. It ended with a party in the park afterwards. It was really great.
Now, you and I were chatting after you played virtual reality. You and I were chatting that you took part in this parade for the first time about 5 years ago. Now, can you tell us really quickly now as we're about to wrap up, what is the difference? What was it like 5 years ago compared to the 5,000 people that showed up yesterday?
So the very first time I attended, I believe it was just people walking through Bannerman Park, raising some flags. This time we had the streets shut down, people had their vehicles. It was just a huge difference in the attendance, yeah.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to tell us a little bit about it. Thank you much, Lauren.
Thank you.
So now, as Lauren was talking about, the Pride Parade was the biggest one that they've had yet, and we've got lots of footage of that, and I'll show you that. I'll show you those pictures coming up later. Reporting live for Here and Now, I'm Jeremy Eaton at the Rec Room in the Avalon Mall.
And the story that you tell so well in Newfoundland is the time when life got big.
And it's a story that's being told in one of the top museums in the UK. Newfoundland fossils are on display at a new exhibit at Oxford University. We'll take you there in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Here and Now. A piece of this province is on display at one of the top museums in the United Kingdom. Fossils from eastern Newfoundland are part of a new exhibit at Oxford University's museum in England. And joining us now from the floor of the museum is researcher Jack Matthews. Thanks so much for being here.
Good evening.
Can you tell us more about this exhibit?
Yeah, so welcome to the Oxford University Museum of Natural History. We're on our first floor here where we have our temporary exhibits. And for the next 9 months, we're going to be telling the story of the first animals. And this story is about where we, as a member of the animal kingdom, where we come from. So we're going to be telling the story of a particular moment in geological time, which anyone who's done a little bit of geology might have heard of. It's called the Cambrian Explosion, happened about 530 million years ago, and it's the time when animal life went crazy, massively diversified, and we get all the different kinds of body plans, that is the types and shapes and sizes of animals that we see today. But you can't tell that story of the start of animal life and first animals without having an introduction. And that introduction really is focused on the fossils of eastern Newfoundland, because the time period before the Cambrian is called the Ediacaran, and some of the best places in the world to see rocks of an Ediacaran age, full of fossils, are in eastern Newfoundland. So we've got examples here, both from the southern shore, from the Mistaken Point UNESCO World Heritage Site next to Portugal Cove South and Trepassey, and also some wonderful fossils from the Bonavista Peninsula from the Discovery aspiring UNESCO Global Geopark.
Okay, so you have it all there behind you. Can you take us on a little tour so we can see?
Yeah, sure. So we've got some lovely artistic recreations here of some early Cambrian organisms. These ones are from the Chenjiang biota in China, also another UNESCO World Heritage Site. And as we go through, we start to tell the story of what is an animal and how do we tell what an animal is, both in the modern terms and when we're looking at the fossil record in the rocks, wherever they may be. And then as we go through, we look at some things called trace fossils. These are evidence of footprints or burrows in the geological record. And then we really get onto some of the first big fossils. And the story that you tell so well in Newfoundland is the time when life got big. That transition from a world which was microbial to a world where there were fossils big enough that we can see them with the naked eye. And this is what we're telling here in this part of the introduction to our first animals exhibit. We've got anyone who's been on the wonderful tour down at Mistaken Point will recognize that photograph, the very famous E surface at Mistaken Point where the tour goes and where so much scientific discovery has happened. And then behind me, we've got a few examples of some of the wonderful fossils from Newfoundland. So this large brown slab you can see behind me is again from the E surface at Mistaken Point. It's jam-packed full of fossils known as Fractofusus. They are again what is now believed to be some of the oldest evidence of animal life in the world, and is in eastern Newfoundland. And then if I tilt you down a bit, you can see this specimen here, which is the black coloured one. That is a replica of the fossil known as Hayotia quadriformis, which was published in 2014. And if you want to go and see the original, you pop up to the rooms in St. John's. That fossil is the oldest evidence of muscular tissue in the geological record. It would have probably belonged to a group of animals that we now call the Cnidarians. That is the group that includes things like corals and jellyfish. But the very oldest one, about 565 million years ago, is from just outside Port Union on the Bonavista Peninsula.
Wonderful to see that piece of Newfoundland in Oxford Museum, and it looks like a beautiful museum. Can you show us a little bit more? I know that there's quite a lovely view if you continue walking down that hallway there.
Yeah, so let's just go down the rest of the display where we have material from Sirius Passet in Greenland. We have some wonderful Canadian material from the Burgess Shale, and then a really big loan from China of material from the Chenjiang UNESCO World Heritage Site, a brilliant fossil site from Yunnan province in China. But this is the the main building. You can see our lovely T-Rex in the background there. We have a brilliant collection of fossil material from all around the world, also collections of minerals and rocks, and which I'm a particular fan of, but also major collections of arthropods, insects, those kinds of things. It's open pretty much all year round. It's free to come to, so if any Newfoundlanders and Labradorians are going to be in Oxford in the next 9 months, please do pop along and celebrate what is a wonderful display of the importance of Newfoundland's geology in our understanding of where we came from.
That's great to see. Thank you so much, Jack Matthews. Really appreciate you taking us on a little tour of the museum.
Thank you very much.
You will be entitled to your financial compensation immediately.
The first phase of the Passenger Bill of Rights came into effect today. It means compensation for being bumped from a plane could be up to $2,400. Details just ahead. Welcome back to Here and Now. So let's head on back to the rec room in the Avalon Mall where Jeremy is right now. So Jeremy, what's on the go there now?
So as you can see, these are a number of people who are playing a virtual reality gunslinging game, and they're trying to become the streetest shooter of 2019. It's all part of Pride Week, but actually the biggest event, as you heard us in the last half hour talking about it, the biggest event of Pride was the parade, which happened on Sunday, which saw more than 5,000 people take to the streets and march all the way up to Bannerman Park for a massive party. Now, we did have a camera crew go out and check it out, and here's a little bit of the sights and sounds of Sunday's Pride Parade.
Your presence here today and all of the people on the street here today show us that progress is being made in this province, country, and city.
Are out here and should be out here supporting everyone, making a stage and elevating the voices of people who need it and making them feel safe to live their lives as they are entitled to and have every right to.
I think it's awesome that even little toddlers are coming. It's awesome that they get to experience that and get to know people and get to know that it's okay to come out and be who you are.
way too many friends unfortunately being bullied because they're in the LGBTQ community, and it's not fair. It's just not fair, because love is literally love. And it shouldn't matter who you love at all.
We're just out to support our friends and colleagues and anybody else who needs a hug.
Same idea. Yeah, we're just here in case you hear stories all the time of people that don't get the support they need at home, so we're just here to provide it.
And walking from mile 1 all the way up here, like all the people with free mom hugs and free grandma hugs and free pop hugs, and I saw a lot of free dad hugs and little kids wearing 3X shirts, like just hugging random strangers. Like, it's so nice because you don't expect. A lot of people, unfortunately, are getting like thrown out by their parents and getting torn down by their parents, and it's just nice to see that other parents are supportive of other people's kids and not just their own.
Well, I'm here to support my friend Sarah and everybody who is persecuted because they're gay.
Best part of Pride? The people, the freedom, the taking space, the showing that we are here, showing people living their authentic selves. This is what Pride is all about, as well as the protests against the oppression and that. But for me, mostly it's this celebration of self.
So as you can see, that's what the virtual reality, that's what the players are seeing. And this event is going to go on for the next little bit. But St. John's wasn't the only place hosting Pride events. There was events happening all across the province, including Gander and Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now, as for St. John's Pride, their next event is going to be outdoors, so hopefully the rain has stopped by then. They're going to have a bonfire at Middle Cove Beach tomorrow night. So that's basically all I got right now here at the Rec Room. So reporting live for Here and Now, and Jeremy Eaton in St. John's.
Looks like a fun event.
It definitely does. And several of us from CBC also took part in yesterday's Pride Parade.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, actually. Lots of dancing, lots of dogs. Just have a look at some of the pictures that we have from the Pride Parade there. I know I took my 2 dogs down, and you saw the horse there as well, the rainbow horse, which was...
that was really neat to see that too.
Yeah, I thought we had some pictures, but I guess we don't have any pictures, do we? Oh well, you just saw lots of pictures, lots of video from the Pride Parade. Yeah, we had a really, really great time.
Yeah, we did. It was a lot of fun.
All right, well, today Britain is honoring a brilliant mathematician, computer pioneer, and code breaker. Alan Turing is widely credited with breaking Germany's famous Enigma code during the Second World War. He will now be featured on the new £50 currency.
His work prefigured the neural networks that are used today in applications such as cancer diagnosis, self-driving cars, and other applications, and will be used in yet undiscovered technologies of tomorrow.
Turing's work helped end the war, saving millions of lives. He continued groundbreaking research for the next decade, but his achievements were minimized when he was accused of being gay, which was illegal in Britain at the time. Turing was forced to undergo chemical castration. 2 years later, he committed suicide. He was only 42. The bank called him, quote, the father of artificial intelligence and an intellectual giant. Meanwhile, discussions on the future of cash itself continue as digital and credit card use escalate. Well, about half the Atlantic salmon leaving a Nova Scotia river for the ocean never make it to their destination. They're eaten by predators instead. New tracking devices are being placed in the fish, and scientists hope this cutting-edge technology will help them save this critically endangered species. Paul Withers has that story.
For 3 years, federal fisheries scientist Dave Hardy has been looking and listening for Atlantic salmon in the Stewiacke River in central Nova Scotia. Each year, he implants a small tracking device into 50 3-year-old salmon known as smolts as they are leaving the river for their ocean migration. The device sends a signal picked up by dozens of receivers moored in the river and into the Minas Basin.
And it says it's connected to this Bluetooth device.
What's unique about this project are the tags. They can tell when the fish has been eaten. The news? Striped bass are intercepting smolts on their way to sea at levels much higher than indicated by previous studies.
But in the past 2 years, between 38 and 48% of the smolts that we tagged, released here at the head of tide at Stewiacke River Park, were triggered as predated before they reached the mouth of the Shubenacadie River at Maitland.
The tags were invented and manufactured by a Nova Scotia company, Sea, which makes fish tracking devices used all over the world.
Predation Tag, the tag that detects when a fish has been eaten.
The secret is a polymer glue coating
that basically gets corroded away inside the stomach of another fish, inside the stomach of a predator. So the electronics detects when that coating's been eroded, and then we just put out a different signal to indicate that the fish has been predated upon.
It's not just predation tags at work here on the Stewiacke River. Scientists can now tell whether the fish was under stress before it was eaten. This year, for the first time, a genetic test was administered while the smolts were tagged. It will reveal the presence of stressors from temperature to disease that could make them more vulnerable to predators.
But we're looking for a commonality between the smolts that have been predated versus the ones that have survived to reach the sea. And if there's a common gene expression we can see in the profile, then that can give us an idea for possible river restoration or population management.
Salmon in this river can use all the help they can get. They would have disappeared altogether if it were not for a federal fish hatchery that releases tens of thousands of fry each year. Many survive 3 years to become smolts, but almost none make it back from sea to spawn as adults. The hatchery program has bought time. For studies like this, scientists hope it will offer clues to better protect a species on the brink of extinction. Paul Withers, CBC News, Stewiacke.
Well, the first phase of a new airline passenger Bill of Rights takes effect in Canada today.
As of today, if you have lost or damaged baggage, or if you have overbooking situation, let's say you're on a flight later today and for some reason it is overbooked and there are people who are denied boarding, you will be entitled to your financial compensation immediately.
Compensation for bumping could be up to $2,400. For lost luggage, even on domestic flights, the rebate is up to $2,100. Airlines must provide food, drink, toilet access, and air conditioning or heating for delays of more than 3 hours on the tarmac. And in every case, the airlines must inform passengers of what is going on. A second round of rules and compensation related to flight delays and cancellations take effect in mid-December. Critics say the airlines will simply be able to blame delays on weather or what they say are maintenance issues. The agency representing international airlines is challenging the changes in court. Minister Garneau says he's confident the new rules will withstand that challenge.
I want to know where you're to. Claudine Lake sent us this dramatic sunset, and I'll reveal where it was taken after the break.
Welcome back.
Yeah, earlier we showed you Capelin rolling on the beach in St. Vincent's on Saturday. Now we have another video of Capelin underwater.
Look at that. We always see them on the beach, but we don't often see them like this. This was taken off Witless Bay last week by Arnaud Labrie. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, who posted it to Twitter. He says he captured this video while diving, and with this Capelin just offshore, they should be rolling on the beach any day. It's a great video. Look how many there are.
So neat to see them like that.
So what about this Capelin weather? How
Capelin
much
weather.
longer is this going to be sticking around?
Yeah, so we're going to quickly go through tomorrow's forecast one more time just to show you what's happening. It does look like we should see some afternoon showers, potential for a few lightning strikes as well. Temperatures a little bit warmer than what we're seeing today, somewhere between 17 and 22 degrees for the island, and then up through Labrador. Again, that risk of thunderstorms, 23 degrees for Lab City, 27 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So looking ahead into Wednesday, it does look like we're in for a little bit more unsettled weather, especially towards the afternoon and evening hours down along this, the southwestern portion of the island. And then we're looking at some showers moving through Labrador as well. Now, most of the day should actually be quite sunny, and these temperatures are going to climb. So we're going to see temperatures in the 20s, as high as 27 degrees potentially for Grand Falls, Windsor, and with this, it looks like it's going to be quite humid as well. Corner Brook looking at a high near 27 degrees for your Wednesday, and then cooler up through Lab City, so dropping down to about 14 degrees as the afternoon high on Wednesday, but that will rebound as we head towards the rest of the week. So here's a look at Thursday morning. We do have a couple of systems that are moving through over the next little bit, but we will see some clearing skies, it looks like, into the afternoon. Once that rain moves out, especially for most of the island, then overnight into Friday. Friday actually looks like a pretty nice day, except up through Labrador, where we're going to start to see that shower activity move in yet again and continue to spread further east into Saturday morning. But again, the first half of Saturday doesn't look too bad for parts of the island, and then we'll see that shower activity move through again through the evening. So here's a look at your temperatures over the next couple of days. 17 tomorrow, and then climbing up to that 20-degree range as we head towards Wednesday. Friday and Saturday, as of now, look pretty nice. 21 degrees, 19 on Saturday, so a good-looking weekend so far. And then for central Newfoundland, 21 degrees tomorrow, and then into Wednesday, that's when we get into that heat and humidity, and that will continue as we head towards the weekend, again with that risk of showers in there both Thursday and Saturday. For western Newfoundland, 19 tomorrow, and then back to that 20-degree range. It looks like not too bad for the western portion of the island, 21, 22, 23 degrees as you head towards the weekend with plenty of sunshine, it looks like right now. And then for eastern Labrador, 27 degrees, again that risk of thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. And then we're looking at in that 20-degree range as we head towards Saturday. And then same thing for western Labrador with a little bit of dip in that temperature for Wednesday. And then Thursday looking at 20 degrees. So just before the break, showed you your weather photo, a little bit of a dramatic sunset. And this one was taken in Frenchman's Cove.
Ah.
Yeah, so a beautiful shot there. Thank you so much for sending that in, Claudine Lake. And if you have any weather photos that you'd like to share with us, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Great shot. Well, would you do 100 push-ups for mental health? A Renews couple has been running a fundraiser for the last 4 years, challenging participants to push their limits physically and raise awareness about depression and suicide, issues that nearly tore their family apart. Here's a look at the annual event held this weekend in St. John's.
This started in 2015 after both of our girls had scares with suicide attempts, and one was in Alberta, one was here in the province, and we had to kind of separate as families to support them in different provinces. And the following August, for Bill's birthday, he decided to do this to help them, to show them that we're aware of what they're going through, and there's so many people out there like them that are going through it. The scariest part was knowing that the two of them were suffering so silently for a little while, but after they opened up to us about this and we were able to talk more freely about it, we started to understand their illnesses a little bit better.
About a month or two afterwards, I was thinking, I'm going to try something that really seems to be impossible. So I told the girls that the August, and I think this was during Christmas, I told them on my birthday in August, I'm going to try to do 2,000 push-ups in an hour. So I was like 8 months for that, training for that.
Every year we've done something different. As you can see, this is probably our biggest yet so far. And we're not stopping. We're going to continue doing this as long as we can.
We're going to head back once more to the rec room at the Avalon Mall where Jeremy is live tonight at a St. John's Pride event. So Jeremy, was there a winner declared in that straight shooting virtual reality game?
Not yet. They're still playing, but we've moved away from the playing field so we can take in some of the lights and sounds here at the rec room in the Avalon Mall. While we're here tonight sort of horsing around, tomorrow we're going to head to Paradise and we're going to talk to some of the Avalon Dragons, a group of breast cancer survivors who pulled together to start racing on the water. So you be sure to tune in and you'll see us out there. I probably won't be rowing, but who's to say what could happen? Anyway, so that's it for us out here. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Jeremy. Looking forward to that tomorrow. That's a really nice event of the Dragon Boat Racing. I think it's been going on for about 13 years now.
Oh, wow.
So raises money for breast cancer programs and that sort of thing. So that's where Jeremy will be tomorrow night.
It'll be lovely.
Yeah. And before we leave you, we just wanted to go back to those pictures that we talked about earlier in the show from the St. John's Pride Parade yesterday, which, oh, there you are, Ashley. Yes, so yeah, CBC took part in that event, which was massive, actually.
It was.
I thought I heard earlier that 5,000 people were in that parade, not including the many, many dogs. There were plenty of dogs there.
Especially with just us, the CBC crew had, what, 6, 7 dogs, maybe more than that? There
Yep, there's Zach Gowdy. Yep, that is adorable.
It was really nice. Oh, there's another one.
Yeah, Daniel McEachran with his Great Dane.
Yeah.
And there you are again.
Yeah, now we're
Yeah,
back to
some
the
nice
beginning.
shots. Richie Perez, nice job.
Yeah.
Great shots. And that was
Great
me and you there.
It
Yeah, we had a great time.
I loved it. It was a little bit emotional too. It was a really nice afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm glad the weather held up too. Raining in the morning and then a little bit of drizzle and then it was fine. It was really nice.
It was actually really comfortable.
It
It
was.
wasn't too hot. It was nice.
Yeah, it was nice. Just a light jacket. All
Yeah.
you needed. By the end of it, I had my jacket off.
Me too.
We'll just take a quick look one more time at the forecast for tomorrow. Temperatures a little bit warmer here in St. John's, but it does look like the Avalon should stay cloudy tomorrow afternoon, and with that potential for some drizzle in the morning and then showers again towards the evening hours. Otherwise, maybe a pop-up thunderstorm for parts of eastern Newfoundland and then up through Lab City and heading towards Happy Valley Goose Bay as well. We could see that risk of thunderstorms and 27 degrees.
Wow. We should just all go to Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
I
good
love
idea.
thunderstorms.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That is one thing I miss about Ontario is severe thunderstorms, but hey, it's okay. Not everybody likes them.
Well, that's it for us, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Good night.